Money, like everything else in the universe, is governed by spiritual law. It is not a material thing alone. It is an idea of God's infinite supply made visible in your world. To open the flow of money, you must first open the gates of your own mind and heart to receive it. Many live in lack, not because supply has been withheld from them, but because they have closed themselves off with fear, doubt, and wrong words. Your word is your wand, and the words you speak plant seeds in the invisible realm. If your words are laced with worry, I never have enough, money is hard to come by, you have sown weeds that choke out abundance. But when you speak with faith, I am in the constant flow of divine supply, riches come to me easily and effortlessly, you command the invisible forces to arrange themselves in your favor. Money flows through spiritual law because the universe itself is governed by divine order. Every visible thing we see, touch, and hold began first as an idea in the invisible realm, shaped by the laws that God has set in motion. When we understand this, we stop seeing money as a random occurrence or a result of mere chance. Instead, we see it as a spiritual substance that takes form according to our inner state. The flow of money is not controlled by economic conditions, other people's generosity, or lucky breaks. It is controlled by the alignment between our thoughts, our words, and the infinite supply that is always available in spirit. Just as water flows through an open pipe, but is blocked by debris, divine supply flows to you when you are open and trusting, and it is blocked when you allow fear, resentment, or disbelief to clog the channel. Spiritual law says that what you focus on expands. If your mind is constantly dwelling on lack, you draw more lack into your life. If your words constantly affirm that you never have enough or that things are always tight, you have activated the very law that ensures those statements come to pass. This is not punishment. It is simply the way spiritual law operates without partiality, the same way gravity operates without favoritism. But when you focus on abundance, when you speak in alignment with God's promise of plenty, you turn the key that unlocks the storehouse of supply. You declare with your faith that money is part of the divine flow, and that flow cannot be withheld from you because spirit is limitless. When you live according to spiritual law, you recognize that the outer world is merely a mirror of the inner world. If you wish for more money in the outer, you must first see more wealth in the inner. This means picturing yourself already in possession of what you need, speaking of it as if it is already here, and behaving in ways that show you believe in that truth. This is not pretending, it is aligning with a deeper reality that the material world will eventually reflect. Just as a seed planted in the ground is invisible for a time, but already contains the full, grown plant within it, your affirmations and mental images contain the financial abundance you desire. By holding to them in faith, you give them the space to grow. Living by spiritual law also frees you from fear of loss. You know that if one source of income disappears, another will appear, for the true source is God, not any single job, client, or investment. You know that you cannot be separated from your good, because your good is a spiritual substance, not a physical object. This confidence keeps you calm, generous, and expectant, which in turn keeps the flow open. In this way, the spiritual law governing money is both a comfort and a guide, showing you that your wealth is not dependent on chance, but on your unwavering connection to the infinite supply that is always moving toward you when you let it. Your words shape your wealth because every word you speak carries a vibration, and that vibration moves into the unseen and takes form in the seen. The spoken word is a creative force, and when you release it, it goes out to accomplish the purpose for which you sent it. If you speak words of fear, doubt, and limitation, such as I can't afford this, or money is always hard to come by, you are sending out a command to the universe to create more situations that match those statements. Spiritual law is exact and impartial. It simply brings into manifestation what you declare, whether for good or ill. That is why careless words are so costly. Many people unknowingly affirm lack every day, and then wonder why their finances never improve. When you begin to speak words of faith, something shifts. Instead of saying, I'm always broke, you say, I am in the constant flow of divine supply. Instead of saying, I'll never get out of debt, you declare, all my bills are paid in full, and I am free and clear. These statements may seem at odds with your current circumstances, but that is the very point. You are no longer agreeing with appearances. You are agreeing with the truth of infinite abundance. You are planting seeds in the invisible garden of spirit, and those seeds will bear fruit in the perfect season. Your words are like the key that opens the door to that garden. Florence Scovel Shinn often said, your word is your wand, meaning that your spoken word has the power to direct the unseen forces that shape your life. When you choose your words with intention and faith, you direct those forces toward your prosperity instead of toward your poverty. This requires vigilance, for the habit of speaking lack can be deeply ingrained. It means listening to yourself and catching any statement that contradicts the abundance you wish to see. The moment you catch it, replace it with a word of truth. If you say, I can't afford it, quickly change it to, it's not yet the right time, but everything I need will come to me in divine order. Speaking wealth also means speaking blessings over your money. When you receive income, say, I bless this money and it blesses me. When you pay a bill, affirm, this money returns to me multiplied. By speaking these blessings, you are affirming that your financial transactions are part of a greater divine circulation and turn into profitable ventures. When you hold this truth, you no longer panic when circumstances change. You see changes not as loss, but as redirection toward greater good. This understanding also protects you from greed and desperation. When you believe that money itself is the source, you will chase it endlessly, often compromising your values in the process. But when you know that God is the source, you understand that the flow of money is simply part of the greater flow of divine abundance. It becomes a tool for doing good, for living well, and for blessing others, not an idol to be worshipped. You treat money with respect, but without attachment. You can release it when needed, knowing it will return in perfect time and in perfect form. Seeing God as your source also shifts how you pray and affirm. Instead of begging for money, you give thanks for the divine supply that is already yours in the invisible, and you trust that the perfect channel will open. You might declare, God is my unfailing source, and I am richly supplied now. This affirmation places you in a state of expectancy rather than anxiety. You expect good because you know the source cannot run dry. The channels may change, but the supply remains constant. When you live in this consciousness, you naturally attract better channels because you are not clinging to the wrong ones. Employers, clients, and opportunities sense your confidence and trust, and they are drawn to work with you. You radiate the calm assurance of one who knows that their wealth is rooted in something higher than human circumstances. And in that space of trust, the flow of money becomes steady, joyful, and limitless, because you are connected to the source that never fails. Why? Gratitude multiplies supply because it aligns you instantly with the vibration of abundance. When you give thanks for what you have, no matter how little it may seem, you acknowledge the presence of good already in your life. This act of recognition opens the door for more to flow in, for spiritual law responds to the consciousness you hold. If you live in a state of constant complaint, you signal to the universe that you dwell in lack, and lack will continue to mirror itself back to you. But if you consistently give thanks, even for small blessings, you send out the message that you are ready to receive more, and more will come. Gratitude is not simply polite manners. It is a spiritual magnet that draws increase. Every dollar you have can be a seed for greater wealth if you bless it with gratitude. Instead of looking at your wallet and saying, "This isn't enough," look at the money in your hand and say, "I am grateful for this money, and it blesses me." By doing so, you change your emotional and spiritual relationship with money. You stop treating it as something scarce and start treating it as a friend and ally. In the same way, when you pay your bills instead of grumbling, you can say, I am grateful for the service this bill represents, and I know the money I send out returns to me multiplied. This transforms what could feel like loss into a part of the great circulation of abundance. Gratitude also shifts your focus from what is missing to what is present. The mind naturally expands whatever it focuses on. If you keep noticing only the gaps, you will experience more of them. But if you keep noticing what is already good and abundant, you will experience more of that. It is the same law that governs planting. You get more of the seeds you sow. If you sow seeds of complaint, you reap circumstances that give you more to complain about. If you sow seeds of thankfulness, you reap more reasons to be thankful. Even in times of financial challenge, gratitude has the power to turn the tide. It is an act of faith to thank God for supply before it appears, but that act draws the supply toward you. You can say, I am grateful that all my needs are met in divine order. Even when the outer picture has not yet changed, this statement plants a seed in the invisible, and gratitude waters it until it manifests. The more you practice this, the more naturally it comes, until gratitude becomes your constant state of mind. When gratitude becomes a habit, you notice that life begins to respond differently. Unexpected money arrives, opportunities appear, and what you have seems to stretch further than before. This is not magic, it is the law of increase in action. By giving thanks, you declare that you live in a friendly, abundant universe, and the universe, by divine law, answers that declaration by multiplying your blessings. To erase poverty thoughts, you must first recognize that lack begins in the mind before it appears in the outer world. Every image you hold, every belief you entertain, and every silent thought you repeat is creating a blueprint that the world around you faithfully follows. If your inner pictures are filled with fear, worry, and visions of not having enough, the spiritual law will shape your circumstances to match those images. It cannot do otherwise, for it simply reflects back the content of your consciousness. This is why so many people work hard yet remain in struggle. They have not changed the inner pattern that keeps reproducing lack. Erasing poverty thoughts requires conscious effort, for these patterns are often deep-rooted, sometimes formed in childhood by observing the struggles of parents or hearing repeated statements like money doesn't grow on trees, or we can't afford that. These phrases become mental programs that operate silently, even when we think we are striving for abundance. To break free, you must bring these hidden beliefs into the light and replace them with new, life-giving ones. Every time a thought of lack arises, stop it and declare the opposite truth. I live in an abundant universe, and there is more than enough for me. This act interrupts the old pattern and begins to form a new one. Visualization is a powerful tool in this process. Instead of rehearsing images of unpaid bills, overdue notices, or empty bank accounts, fill your mind with vivid pictures of the life you desire. See yourself paying bills easily, receiving generous checks, and enjoying the comfort of financial freedom. Your subconscious mind does not distinguish between a vividly imagined scene and a physically experienced one. Wavering means to live in a steady, unwavering faith that spirit is your unfailing supply, no matter what the outer world presents. Many people speak affirmations for a day or two, feel encouraged for a short while, but then, when an unexpected bill arrives or income slows, they fall back into fear and doubt. This constant shifting between faith and worry creates a broken signal to the universe, much like trying to tune a radio station but continually turning the dial. To keep the abundance code, you must hold your thought and feeling steady, knowing that the law is already working and your supply is on its way in perfect form and timing. This requires both discipline and trust. Discipline in catching yourself when your thoughts wander into lack, and trust in knowing that the spiritual law never fails. When a challenge arises, instead of asking, How will I ever get the money? You declare, the supply for every need is already prepared, and I accept it now. Such a statement keeps you aligned with abundance even in the face of appearances that would suggest otherwise. Appearances are temporary. The truth of God's infinite supply is eternal. The one who holds to this truth without wavering will always see it made visible. Keeping the code also means consistency in your words, actions, and giving. You cannot speak abundance in the morning and then complain about lack in the afternoon, expecting the law to respond with prosperity. Your words must continually affirm the good you seek. Likewise, your actions must reflect faith in supply. This might mean paying your bills promptly instead of delaying out of fear, giving generously instead of withholding, and taking steps toward your goals with confidence that the resources will meet you on the way. Faith without action is incomplete. Action confirms your belief and strengthens your alignment with abundance. Generosity plays a key role in keeping the code. When you give with a willing heart, you demonstrate that you trust the flow of supply. You prove to yourself and the universe that you believe more will come. This giving need not be extravagant. Even a small gift given in love carries the vibration of abundance and invites more into your life. The important thing is the spirit in which you give, not from guilt or obligation, but from joy and trust. Finally, unwavering abundance consciousness requires gratitude as a daily practice. Gratitude keeps your heart open and your focus on the good already present, which in turn attracts more. By combining gratitude with consistent affirmations, generous giving, and steadfast faith, you create a strong, unbroken current of abundance energy in your life. In this way, the abundance code is not a secret to be discovered, but a way of living to be practiced. And when you live it without wavering, the flow of wealth becomes constant, steady, and as natural as the rising of the sun.